Many of you, your names were submitted before. So we're just taking this opportunity to remind any person who did not register. Chairman of the Superior Regional Corporation, representative of the Mayaro Regional Corporation, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask you now to stand for the national anthem. please remain standing for the prayer by Alderman Angie Benjamin of Couva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation.
Thank you, MP. I would like us to bow our heads and close our eyes and prepare our hearts for worship. Almighty Father, as we gather here today as a team, those who are present, those who are on their way, we ask a special blessing upon us today, Lord. We are here to deal with the matters that affect your people, a people of a nation that's going through turmoil. We are here that all our deliberations will be treated with utmost importance, and we pray that there will be answers and resolution as we go forward. We ask a special blessing on all those who have made this pre-budget discussion a reality. We thank you for their hard work, and we pray and ask that you bless every member, family that's here today. We ask this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please have your seats. The political leader of the United National Congress and leader of opposition, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, has always put people first. The UNC has had in the past pre-budget consultations going to every part of Trinidad to hear the voices of the people who matter. As we prepare for budget 2022-2023, it is no different. Our leader has initiated the UNC pre-budget consultation as a method to keep the voices of the people in Parliament. The contributions made today will be summarized by a secretariat of the opposition office, and it will be a part of the presentation of the leader in Parliament as well as other members of Parliament as we respond to the budget that will come soon. We know that almost every sector the government has decimated. Just last night, the Prime Minister himself admitted that this government has neglected roads. After years and years of protest and cries and pleas from people all over the country, the Prime Minister has finally realized that the roads in Trinidad and Tobago are in deplorable condition. It means that the voice of the people is powerful. It means that the voice of the people must get louder so that the government will hear and respond. This is a democracy, and the voice of people is considered the voice of God. I am pleased today to chair the program organized by the Research Officer of the United National Congress, recently elected MP Saddam Hussein. And I want you to give him a round of applause. The efforts today and in this series of pre-budget consultation is part of the research of our party. Also present with us is the UNC's Shadow for Finance, MP Dave Tanku. Just stand so they could see you. Give him a round of applause. I want to urge you today not only to listen, but to speak. In today's program, we will have an open forum where members of the audience, particularly people who represent organizations, are encouraged to make contributions, whether it is in the field of agriculture, fishing, or social issues, the price of foodstuff, how your children's education is being affected, national security, safety in your area, and how the government's budgeting has affected your living. You are also welcome to make suggestions, because the UNC is not just an opposition, it is the government in waiting. And one of the things that we do is to present in Parliament alternatives, policies and programs that the government should be implementing. And I urge you at this time to make suggestions during our open forum as to what can be done. So while we criticize, we also make suggestions. I want to thank the leader of the United National Congress for initiating these consultations, and I give you the assurance that every region in Trinidad will have the opportunity like this. Today is the launch, and the next one we go on Saturday, we go to Tableland High School, where the Princestown Corporation and the Mayaro Regional Corporation will come together to give their views. At this time, we are hosted by at the Chaguanas Borough Hall, and we now ask the Mayor of Chaguanas, Young Faik Mohammed, to bring greetings.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, let me address the elephant in the room. The reason why I have on this hat is not a fashion statement. Many of you will know that yesterday I sustained a head injury. In other words, I bust my head. So I have on this hat so you will not see the bandages and focus on what I have to say and not focus on the bandage. So good afternoon, MPs, councillors, aldermen, and you, our specially invited attendees. Thank you for being present at this year's budgetary consultation. As the Mayor of Chaguanas, let me warmly welcome you to the Borough of Chaguanas, to our auditorium. Tonight, we'll be discussing issues that affect our lives, and that's money, and how the decisions government take controlling that money, how it impacts our lives on a daily basis. As we would see with the rise in gas prices, the cutting of gate, closing of Petrotrin, the laying off of many workers, these are decisions made by this government on budget day. So let's talk local government. During the budget, and I'll use 2020-2021 allocation as an example, you will hear the Minister of Finance say $71 million is allocated towards Chaguanas Borough Corporation. Many of you will be like, ooh, $71 million, that's a lot of money. However, under the leadership of Kamala Prasad Pisesa, when I was elected as a councillor between the year 2013 and 2015, this corporation received approximately 100 million in that space each year. So that's a vast difference. A difference of not 30,000, not 300,000, not $30, but $30 million. And that's a big, big disparity. Many of you will think when that $71 million is allocated, the mayor or the chairman, I see Chairman Henry Awang here present, that the mayor and the chairman, we get that in our bag and we have that on the side of our desks and we can do anything we want with this. No, it is not so. This $71 million is allocated towards different votes or headings in the corporation, such as local health, roads, personal, PE, and the list goes on. Time constraints doesn't allow me to go much into that. However, this $71 million is allocated. The key word here is allocated. This basically is a nice word, and Khadija said it recently to us. It means promise. This $71 million is promised to the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. If you were to do the maths, 71 million divided by 12 would be approximately $5.9 million this corporation should be receiving every month from this government. But no, it doesn't work so. It doesn't happen so under this current administration. They sent this money for us. You know how the old people say, chur, chur, chur? That's how we get this money. Little by little. And sometimes late. In fact, sorry, not sometimes. All the time, this money comes to us late. I think at the Ministry of Finance, I believe they play a game when it comes to sending finances to corporation. They probably will write a list of stuff, a list of numbers on a, fold it up in a ball, take out a hat, throw it in there and pull. And whatever figure they come up with, say yes, we're sending that to shogunas. I think that is what they do. That's the only way to describe what is happening in corporations today. Everything is by VAPs under this government. And Chairman Awong can attest to this. And definitely when he speaks, he would. I've been asked a lot, what are my plans for shogunas? Well, I want to ask, how could you properly plan and execute plans when your money is not guaranteed? Remember, this money is only promised. So this money is not guaranteed. And we all know the PNM promises never materialize. And it's the honest to God truth. We are living it every single day. So what's my plan? My plan is, how do I get money for the burgesses of shogunas on a daily basis? How do we get money for you, the taxpayers, on a daily basis? Local government, we have 3 main factors of production. That's man, money, and material. Without money, you can't buy material. Without money, you can't pay for manpower. So basically, you can't do anything without money. So no matter how grand and spectacular your plans may seem, it will be unachievable without the money. That's basic economics. And I think the Minister of Finance, even though he doesn't possess any knowledge of economics, he should at least know this. But it seems that this government is hell-bent on stifling the growth of the Shogunas Borough Corporation. We need to ask questions. We all here need to ask questions. Where is our taxpaying dollars going? What it is being spent on? Because certainly it is not being spent on improving our daily lives, improving our roadway, improving our infrastructure in our communities, improving our schools, and even our social conditions. There's a burning issue in this country, a literal burning issue in this country. Bad roads, because we see many protests. The Ministry of Works stated that they are in command of 21% of the nation's roadways. However, they don't maintain it. So corporations are left to take their scarce resources. I had a discussion yesterday with Councillor Vishan Mohammed. He's saying the little material he gets, he have to use it. In Ministry of Works, the 21% of the roadway that falls under them, you have to see about his electoral district and that roadway. It is unfair to local government practitioners. There's only one truth to what the minister said, and that's WASA contributes a lot to many of the potholes. But again, they are in charge. They need to fix that. We at the Shogunas Borough Corporation, we are promised, and I will keep using this word promise, 500,000 to do road repairs. 500,000 to buy materials to do road repairs. Shogunas Borough Corporation has over 1,000 roads. If you do the maths, that's $500 per roadway. You can't even buy a load of broken bricks to put in a roadway for $500. What you expect us as councillors to do? And for this financial year, this is what was purchased. I can tell you, 12 tons of mix each councillor got. That's sounding like a lot, but that's only one load, one truckload of material. And for the entire borough, we have 8 electoral districts. For the entire Shogunas Borough, we only got 8 truckloads of material to fix over 1,000 roadway. How is that even possible? this government is basically taking this country back to the Stone Age. Because, let's face it, when you look at the roadways, we have to take stone and put it in the potholes. We're not taking the proper coal mix to fix the potholes. It's sad to say. Furthermore, 10 months going to 11 months has passed in the financial year. Yes, they promised 500,000, but no, we did not receive 500,000. $208,000 was received out of that 500,000. With one more month to go in this financial year, you think we are going to get that 500,000? Guess what? I don't think so. This government looks for smart ways to cut cooperation, and this is one of the ways they do it, by sending releases in an untimely manner. They are basically sending a message to you, the citizens of this country, that roadworks are insignificant and not a priority in this country. And this is a by the way point. You know, another reason that what contributes to many of these potholes that the country is facing right now, this plague of potholes, there's a shortage of bitumen. Bitumen is a byproduct of oil. And since Petrotrain closed down and we stopped refining oil, we no longer have this product in stock. And we are now forced to import this product. And that is why we are always currently in a shortage. MP Dave Tanku always says this: election has consequences. So please take note. Here are more examples of how funds have rapidly deteriorated under this government. Between 2013 to 2015, in Shogunas Borough Corporation, every 3 months, a councillor had the ability to do a 100-meter box drain in their electoral district. So that would have been 400-meter box drains for the entire year. Now, under this government, we can only afford, and if we get the funding for it, 150-meter box drain for the entire year. So you see what is going on under this current administration. We have a goal to upgrade our cremation site. This new council term began in 2019. But this is the first year, and this is the last year, that for our 3-year term, that we got funding for this allocation of $250,000. If we have gotten that $250,000 over the last 3 years constantly, imagine the amount of development that our cremation site would have been in. But under this government, they seem to be either incompetent or vindictive, either or, nothing else. What should also be noted, Point Fortin has only 2 cemeteries and no cremation site, but they got $250,000. Whereas Shogunas, we have 8 cemeteries and a cremation site, and we were allocated the same $250,000. What method was used for allocating? I want to ask the government that. Was it who has the most PNM party cards? Please help me, make it make sense. In closing, a clear method of allocation has to be developed when allocating resources to corporations. Because again, I'll use this example. How could Point Fortin collect or be allocated 70 million with a population of 33,000, and Shogunas be allocated 71 million with a population of 100,000? The size of Point Fortin is 24 square kilometers, and the size of Shogunas is 59 square kilometers. And we get basically the same allocation. I want to ask the government, how? How? This is capital B, capital S. And this has to stop. Shogunas deserve better. I see I'm getting told to wrap up, so thank you and God bless.
When you have a lot of information and a lot of passion, give young Mayor Faik Mohammed a round of applause. Our next speaker is chairman of one of the largest regional corporations in Trinidad and very experienced councillor and local government representative. He is the chairman of the Kuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation. Please welcome to the podium Chairman Henry Awong.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Khadija Amin, MP for constituency of St. Augustine. I want to recognize the Honorable Dave Tanku, MP for Repuch West, my local government colleagues, both from CTTRC and Shogunas. Pleasant good evening to all. The Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the leader of the opposition, the leader of the United National Congress, for putting this together as a party function where we discuss local government matters. Now, I always say, and Angie Benjamin will bear me out, that local government deals and treats with the everyday man, with your needs of the everyday man. So when you walk out your house in the morning, you want to make sure your sidewalk properly well cleaned and so on, your garbage collected, you want to know the play parks in your community well maintained, cemeteries well maintained, etc. So we deal with the everyday needs of the people, local government. Regional corporation, and my regional corporation, and certain Shogunas Borough regional corporation also, we are not in the income generating business. We get very little income from cleaning our cesspits, etc. Very little. Probably building plans and so on. Very little. We are solely dependent on central government for our allocations. Solely dependent on central government. And if the government of the day, like this one we have now, doesn't have the people interest at heart, then we are in for problems. So you heard me about the lack of funding or the very little that we get. The Kuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation is one of the largest corporations in Trinidad, actually the second. 178,000 plus people live in this region. It encompasses a geographical space of 719.6 square kilometers, which is more than Tobago. The population in Tobago is just around probably 60,000, probably that was the 2011 census, 60,000. And the size of Tobago is just around probably 300 square kilometers. So we are 2 times the size of Tobago with regards to land mass. We are more than 2 times the size with regards to population, probably 3 times, thereabout, the size of Tobago. I'm not making no case to say that we should give Tobago less at all. I'm going to make the case that you should give Kuva Tabaki Talparo more. That is the case I want to make. We have 14 electoral districts in the Kuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation. 14 electoral districts. So that tells you we have 14 councillors. And they all represent their particular electoral district with passion. So they'll come to the corporation and we'll fight. Sometimes we fight nice in Cuba for whatever little there is because they are representing the burgesses or the people of their particular electoral district. So I just want to draw down, and Mayor Faik spoke about some of the disparity with regards to allocation of funding by this present PNN government. I want to put it in my way and in my style. The CTTRC was we received $29,504,600 for goods and services. So goods and services will tell you that it's a fixed road, a fixed drain, the clean water courses, to pay light bill, to pay water rate, what have you, goods and services, right? 29,504,000. And that's in the Ministry of Finance 2022 draft estimate of revenue and expenditure, the yellow book. So they send that for the chairman to this yellow book. Dave, just give us a copy of those two, right? This was the least amount allocated to any of the regional corporation, boroughs or cities in the country. It works out to be a mere $165 per capita, which is the average allocation per person in the region. So when you divide that by the amount of person, you divide that by the 178,000 people who live in this region, each person will get just $165 for the year. That's for the year, $165. Let us compare these figures to the allocation of some of the PNN corporations. I'll break it down same way. Similar to the CTTRC, the Sawa Lavantil Regional Corporation also has 14 electoral districts and 14 councillors, just like us. It has a population of 157,358 persons, as recorded in the last census, and an area of 220 square kilometers. So they're much smaller than us in size, less in population. Let's see what they get. Let's see what they get. But in contrast to the CTTRC, the Sawa Lavantil Regional Corporation was estimated an allocation of $67,446,000 for goods and services for 2022. That works out to an allocation of $429 per capita, 2.6 times the amount allocated to the CTDRC. Right? So we got $165 per capita. They got $429 per capita, per person then, right? Which has over, and they have, the CTTRC, which has over 21,000 more burgesses and 3 times the geographical area to service than Sawa Lavantil. Let me take our next PNN Corporation. I deal with Diego Martin now. The Diego Martin Regional Corporation was estimated to be allocated $36 million for goods and services in 2022. This is $350 per capita, more than double the allocation of the CTTRC. And Diego Martin only has 10 councillors and a geographical area of 125 square kilometers. Yes, just have 125. We have 170 square kilometers in Cuba, Tabaki, Talparo. They are almost 6 times smaller than the CTTRC, almost 6 times. Let's look at, well, Mayor Fike make mention of the Point Fortin borough, but let me just run it through quickly. Point Fortin borough, which was estimated an allocation of $12,728,900 in 2022 for goods and services. That works out to be $629 per capita. Remember, we only had 165. They have $629 per capita for a small population of 20,335 people and very small geographic area of 25 square kilometers, just 25 square kilometers. The CTTRC is almost 30 times the size of Point 14, has almost 9 times the population, but is given only quarter per capita the allocation of Point 14 for goods and services. I know it's coming Shawana's, so I said, let me just work out the Shawana's thing too. Right here in Shawana's Corporation, the estimated allocation for goods and services in 2022 worked out to be $272. A little better than me still. Not by much, but much less than this PNM corporation that I just mentioned. Less than half the allocation provided to Point 14, which was just like Shawana's also as a borough. The PNM government needs to explain this blatant bias and inequity, inequity, right, in the distribution of resources to the corporations. Why are they victimizing the burgesses of CTTRC? Why is CTTRC, which has one of the largest geographical area and largest population in the country, being allocated less of all the corporations? I want to say, and I want to take this opportunity to call on the PNM, the Minister of Local Government, Staff Al-Rawi, to rectify and fix this thing. The people of Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo say this is blatant discrimination against a UNC health corporation. It's blatant. Everybody can see that. Even the blind person can see that. It's blatant discrimination, political discrimination against a UNC health corporation. And we say that damn nonsense had to stop. That had to stop. We want what is our just due. I by no way saying that Point Fortin and Diego Martin and so on shouldn't get what they get, but give me what we deserve in Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. Give us that. Just like anybody else, we have people to service. Many of them are here. I've seen some of them from way up in Tabaqui and so on here today. Because they want to know what's happening in their country and how we are addressing their needs. I just want to deal very quickly, I know time is of the essence, with regards to PSIP, Public Sector Improvement Projects, PSIP. For the fiscal year 2022, Cuba, Tabaqui, Talpa Regional Corporation, under drainage, got $4 million. Just $4 million. It may sound plenty. Divide 4 million by 14, each councillor had 285,000 to do major drainage works in the region. That is PSIP, a Public Sector Improvement Project. Big thing. You have a big flooded area, you want to build a big box drain, 3 feet by 100 meters and so on. 285,000 can't even do that. Can't even do that. Under roads, our roads and bridges program, it's not roads alone, roads and bridges. And I will tell you, there are still some areas that have wooden bridges in this region, few areas. We were allocated $4.5 million under that particular head. Divide that by 14, councillor had $321,000 to fix a road or to build roads. Tabaqui people, Allen Road alone will take this whole $4.5 million to fix. Allen Road from Tabaqui to Brasto Bernardo in that rural area. There are about 3 landslides here. Landslide from Councillor John Lizama in our statutory meeting last week. He almost broke down in tears speaking about landslip, a broken down bridge in Grand Salt Trace, something again. Oh, and added to that, we had to treat with the issue of no water in the pipe in some areas. You almost broke down in chairs. You had to stop speaking. And that's no joke, that the kind of passion they bring to the work. But when the funding is not forthcoming, we are under real pressure. For recreation grounds, we were allocated 800,000. We in Cuba have 123 recreation grounds. Work the maths, 14 into 800,000 is just about $66,000 a councillor to go and try to repair a pavilion bit and so on. Under the UNC, we were getting 2-point-some million. We built within the time from 2010 to 2015, 23 pavilions in the region of Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. We installed 21 play parks. We got 53 recreational grounds with perimeter lighting and so on. 53, because we understood, and the leader, our leader, the Honorable Kamala Postad Bisasa, understood the importance of recreation grounds where the young people in your community could go and utilize their spare time. You know, they were saying the devil is fine use for idle hand. When you put fixed grounds and you put lights and so on, and you put play park, they go there in the evening and burn out some of the energy. We got, under this government, we got in 800,000 and so on. For cemeteries, Mayor Faik, you say how much you had? 11 cemeteries? We had 31 in Cuba, Tabaqui, Talparo. 31, we got 200,000. Work the maths. 31. So, colleagues all, much more to talk about, but we want to give the floor the chance. We are saying that this government is blatantly discriminating against UNC health corporations. We are saying that. We are saying that without any apology. The information will tell you that. We are saying, as somebody said, and they would say, election have consequences. We'll be given an opportunity sometime, probably later this year, under the local government elections, to show our dissatisfaction. Well, we also want to hear from you, the people, as to what your needs and concerns are. We in Cuba, we have plenty we could talk about. I haven't touched on local economic development yet. Regional corporations are well placed to push local economic development within their regions. In Cuba, we have so many beautiful tourist sites, local tourist sites. I could just name a few quickly. We have the 85 feet Hanuman Murti. We have the temple in the sea. We have the Indian Museum. We have the oldest remaining dirt temple in Trinidad, in Exchange, Cuba. People want to come and see those things, the Kutia, right? We have the Calibre waterfront, beautiful site. That's just part. We have two clusters. If you go east, you have the Tortuga RC Church, one of the oldest church in Trinidad. Go a little higher up, you have the San Antonio Cocoa Estate, where they still process the cocoa using the traditional methods of dancing and so on. People want to go and see those things. We have the Northeast Tunnel and Tabakit. A lot of people come in there. We are investing in those things. Only yesterday we had a meeting, a stakeholder meetings with some of the stakeholders, the people from these sites. So I just called the managers. Plus we had again yesterday this tour guide people, the Tour Guides Association, because they're saying that people telling people coming to see Northeast Tunnel, but they're spending the money in Tabakit. I want to know when tours are leaving Port of Spain and coming through my region, so the councillors can go and tell their people, look, we have 200 persons coming to Northeast Tunnel, we have 200 persons going down by the temple in the sea. Let your people come out and sell their produce and so on and make money. That is local economic development, local government style. So I'm getting a little blink light and thing, but let's have a good consultation. We want to hear from you, the people. Thank you so much.
You hear the passion in his voice. Give one of our longest standing councillors and chairman, the Rastaman Henry Awong, round of applause. At this time, I want to ask the driver of a maxi taxi, HCS 5477. They need you at your vehicle urgently, HCS 5477. At this time, we move into greetings, but we also have some stakeholders who will be taking the stage. I want you to feel comfortable that this is your forum. We have in the UNC a number of very young people, young councillors, young MPs, women who are the forefront of representing. And very recently we had a young mayor of Chaguanas Borough, and at this time I want to bring to the podium the Deputy Mayor of Chaguanas Borough Corporation, young Alderman Marissa Ram-Logan, to bring greetings.
Honorable Political Leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, Members of Parliament, Councillors, Aldermen, and the most important persons here tonight is you, our special guests, because tonight is not only about us talking, but we also want to hear from you and listen to you and your views. So welcome to the Borough of Chaguanas. National security has received the third highest allocation. The fiscal year 2021 to 2022, they received $5.664 billion, which was an increase of $437 million from the last fiscal year. And that sounds really, really good. Because one thing that this government could do is make things look good on paper. Imagine an increase of 437 million, and all we can see at this point in time is an increase in crime. And you, the burgesses of the Borough of Chaguanas, I know what you are experiencing at this point. The murder rate has us all cowering in fear. Even in our own homes where we are supposed to feel safe. We have been fed lies upon lies about CCTV cameras, pepper spray, ankle monitoring bracelets, and the list could go on and on and on. And one asks, where is this money really going? Because none of these plans have been implemented thus far. And those that were a total failure. As a matter of fact, it actually increased the murder rate instead of decreased. So what was really the plan? You know, our National Security Minister said in Parliament, and this was a question posed by Member of Parliament for St. Augustine with regards to the CCTV cameras. He said that as at February 28, 2022, there were 1,796 CCTV cameras installed throughout TNT. Of this number, 1,063 were fully functional and 733 considered to be either not fully functional or non-functional. And it begs the question, where is the money really going? Because you have such an allocation and you have this happening. 733 cameras not operational. And some of these are in hotspot areas. And we want to know what is really happening. Women are continuing to be raped and murdered in this country. We had many protests across Trinidad and Tobago for some of these women. We asked, we begged for pepper spray. We begged for lighting in the Aripo Heights where some of these murders took place. We even begged for CCTV cameras. And all we got were plans are being made. Plans, but nothing happening. Only plans. So you have an allocation and you got the third highest allocation. And all you can tell us at this point is that you have plans, but nothing implemented. So what is happening with this government, especially the Minister of National Security? And what about our fishermen? Did this government not promise to increase border patrols and strengthen the Coast Guard unit to save our people from murderous pirate attacks? These fishermen were only trying to feed their families. That is all they were trying to do. And we cannot even protect them. So again, where is the money going? Under the UNC, crime went down because money was spent on effective programs to not only detect but also deter crimes, giving our citizens a sense of peace, which is unfortunately no longer there. We gave youths many opportunities, so they did not have to turn to crime. So this PNM government continues to spend money, but we are not seeing where this money is spent. And today my question is, where is the money going? And that is why I always speak about the public procurement legislation as well. But I'm not going to speak about that tonight, because I know tonight it's about you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, to share your thoughts, to share your questions with us. So this is your floor tonight. Be brave, speak out, ask the questions, because the government of Trinidad and Tobago is accountable to you, the citizens. They owe you the answers. So I thank you, and I look forward to the questions later.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor of Chaguanas, Marissa Ramlogan. We have several stakeholders lined up to speak on our program. Hold on. And I want to take this opportunity to recognize some members of Parliament from the region of Chaguanas and Couva. We have with us MP for Caroni East, Rishi Sicharan, Dr. Rishi Sicharan. MP for Couva North, Ravi Ratiram. Just stand so they could see you. And they are mingling and mixing with the crowd to listen this evening as our local government representatives take the forefront. There is one stakeholder who was due to speak later in the program, but because the area that he comes from is under severe flooding at this time, he has asked to speak earlier so he could go and attend to his crops. I want to ask a representative of the Jerningham Junction Farmers Association, Javid Rahman, to come to the podium at this time. Come, because I know that you have to go, you have to leave to go to your area. I want to thank you for coming forward to share with us this evening.
Thank you. Pleasant good afternoon to all. So, as the Honorable Khadija Amin would have mentioned, I am representing the Jerningham Junction Farmers Association. And I want to keep it short. I would like to thank the council there. He would have given us a nice breakdown in terms of how the funds are allocated, because you'd realize that some of the questions we pose would be some of the issues that you would be hearing from all your persons there, right? So, one of the things that I want to make mention, as she said, we will have flooding. And drainage is one of the things that we always raise. We always ask what exactly is going on in terms of getting help for the farmers for draining. Recently, it seems as if all we do is just copy and paste the letters and change the date and who we are addressing it to, because once we get a hold of someone, no, don't send it to us, send it to someone else. And they bounce around the questions around and around, and we don't see anything taking place. It's sad, because if we look at the overall global situation and we look at what COVID has done in terms of the supply chain, the costs have increased exponentially. And then you will say, well, okay, what is this, how does this tie into the farmers? Farmers put food on the table, that's it. Farmers put food on the table. We have so much things that could be grown in Trinidad and Tobago, but yet we will rush to import apples. Why would I want to eat an apple when I have a nice Julie mango? Why would I want to eat a pear when I have watermelon? And it's very bad. We need to encourage and we need to support our farmers, because it's a sad reality in terms of how bad it is economically. Another thing that we also face is predial larceny. Just recently, one of our farmers, he was in his own estate and he was robbed, he was tied up, he was beaten, and his vehicle was taken away from him. Now he has trauma. He does not know if, when he goes back to his lands, if someone is going to do him something, right? And obviously, infrastructure in general, the roads are poor. We don't have any gates, anything at all. And as I mentioned before, what happens is the letters just keep bouncing around and around. We don't know what's taking place, but clarification in terms of the fund allocation, I actually see how difficult it is. If it is you said you are giving us a budget to help us, the farmers, why aren't we seeing the money? Why aren't we getting the support that we need? And we see it right around. Every time you get a paycheck and you see PAYE, where's your dollars going? The roads, the security, and everything is just to so many questions. And I hope that some of the points that I've raised, you all could take into consideration, so that when next you have the forum, you can ask these questions to the relevant persons. It's very, very tough and disheartening to know that this is our sweet TNT and this is what it's going to. Thank you.
Farmers are at the mercy of criminals. Predial larceny is not being addressed. Flooding, drainage, poor road conditions all affect our farmers. We want to thank the president of the Jerningham Junction Farmers Association, or representative of the association, for taking the time to share some of his concerns, because I know as he sat there waiting for his turn to speak, his mind is not at ease. At this time, I want you to welcome to the podium another councillor who is a young man who has been serving his electoral district of Londonville Talparo, the deputy chairman of the Kuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation, Councillor Ryan Rampasad, to share with you.
Thank you very much, MP Amin. Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, political leader of the United National Congress and the leader of the opposition. Mayor Faik, our host mayor here this afternoon, and Chairman Henry Awang, the two heads of the two corporations who have come together to put this presentation on this afternoon. All our hardworking members of council, various MPs, senators, and most importantly, the stakeholders who are here this afternoon. Good night. I really sympathize with the young gentleman who had to speak just before me and had to leave, because I'm a farmer myself, and I understand the plight that he's going through, because we would have had exponential increases in input supplies over the last couple of years. And to produce a crop, any crop outside, it is very expensive right now. And then to deal with this adverse weather pattern, it really breaks my heart, because farmers go through a lot of losses. You know, in your lifetime, you may go to a lawyer once or twice. I see Kyle Taklal sing here. You may go to your dentist just a few times, Dr. Rishi Sicharan. But you depend on a farmer 3 times per day, every day. That's the importance of the farmer. Right? So I really sympathize with the young guy. This afternoon, I'm going to focus on the mixed priorities of the PNM. A 38-year-old woman was killed in a vehicular accident last Sunday, just approximately 10 minutes drive south of where we are now. Young Priscilla Ramcharita has left behind 5 children as a result of this unfortunate accident that happened around 11 a.m. Sunday gone. Priscilla was seated in the front seat in her husband's Hilux, which flipped a few times. Do you all know why that Hilux flipped? It flipped because they hit a pothole. It flipped because it hit a pothole. I want that to sink in. These 5 children lost their mother, Priscilla, due to a pothole. Now I want us to go back to a Guardian article from Saturday, 14th of May, 2022, which ran a story captioned, "New road company under Faris gets $100 million." And I quote from the article, "The new secondary road and rehabilitation company will fall under Minister Faris Alwari in the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government." The article goes on to say, the new company has not yet been registered and does not have any board members appointed, but $100 million has been allocated to capitalize and establish it. End of quote. Now, there are quite a number of things wrong here. I'll just focus with 2 that I took issue with. Firstly, you can find $100 million for a company that has not been formed as yet, whilst at the same time, you have 14 corporations suffering for a little pittance to purchase stone and oil sand. Now, you may hear the voices of just 7 of those corporations, because the other 7 run by the PNM don't want to complain. Every day we are forced to tell burgesses, we can't fix your road. We don't have the funding. My second concern with this situation is the efficient use of funding. This new secondary road and rehabilitation company would be a special purpose agency, similar to PURE, similar to RDC. Without in-house labor and equipment, they will have to contract out these works. The general rule of thumb is a 50-50 ratio. What do I mean by this? That is 50-50 for materials and versus labor and equipment. If you have $100 million, which has been allocated to this company that is not yet existing, then the country will benefit from $50 million in work via the materials, because the other $50 million has to go to pay for equipment and labor. If the same $100 million was given to the various regional corporations, the country will benefit from having $100 million bought in materials. Now we could get twice the amount of work done. And that is what an efficient government would have done. That is what a government would have done if we had a government being run by the UNC and Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Now, this is not a rocket science. This is not rocket science. But then again, you have a P&M government where a minister said he didn't know that leaks affected the water pressure. We at the various corporations want to work, but we need the resources. We are burdened with dozens of dangerous landslips, miles and miles of bad roads, many water courses in need of cleaning, amongst many other items of work. Since May, $100 million was allocated to an invisible company. If we at CTTRC had gotten a small percentage of that, then we would have been able to patch some potholes, and maybe, just maybe, Priscilla may have been alive. Thank you all very much.
May her soul rest in peace, and may that be a part of the reason we keep fighting for the love of the people of this country. At this time, I want to welcome to the podium another stakeholder, a man who is a firm community activist. He is the president of the First Felicity Ramlila Group, Mr. Sundar Joku. Please welcome him to the podium at this time to make his contribution.
Good evening, and thank you, MP Amin, Honorable Leader Kamala Prasad Bisesa, councillors, MP, and you the guests. I am privileged to be here this evening. For who don't know, my name is Sundar Joku, the president of the First Felicity Ramlila and Cultural Group, an executive member of the National Ramlila Council of Trinidad and Tobago, a member of the Sri Krishna Chautal Group, one of the best groups for the past 3 decades, and I'm also a cultural and social activist. I am here to speak about culture and the impact on the economy. Here are some of the overview of Trinidad and Tobago economic growth. The Trinidad and Tobago economy experienced low to negative growth over the last five years, primarily due to the contraction in the energy sector. The economy contracted by an estimated 7.4% in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 restrictions. However, the decline and decelerate to 1% in 2020. There continue to be an increase in budget deficit and net government debt from 60.4% in 2018 to 84.4% in 2021, and outlined by the PwCTT. This report was in 2021. Based on this report, adapted from the PwC Trinidad and Tobago 2021, there would be a fiscal deficit for 2022 of $9 billion. According to the budget reports, tourism and culture can contribute significantly to the domestic economic activities by taking advantage of the opportunities for synergy among culture, art, and tourism. The government speak about building and expanding our culture arts in Trinidad and Tobago. I totally agree with them. But there must be equity distribution for nation wealth and resources to all the art form and the various cultural organizations in Trinidad and Tobago. This have not been done. The mission and philosophy of the PNM government, from a cultural perspective, some culture are preferably treated while others discriminated. The Hindus, the Chinese, the Amerindians, the Europeans. Culture have always been a victim of discrimination when it comes to celebrating their religious and non-religious festival. Excuse me. According to UNESCO report, bringing culture tourism back in the game in 2022. Culture tourism defined by the UN WTO, World Tourism Organization, as tourism centered on culture, attraction as a product. Is one of the fastest growing of tourism industry, accounting for an estimate 40% of all tourism worldwide. With heritage and religious site, craft, performance arts, we have so much to give, you know, and festivals and special events, among others. Countries around the world has harnessed their unique mix, tangible and intangible heritage and contemporary culture to boost economy, growth, and sustenance. Developing through culture tourism, which can lead to job creation, regeneration, and rural and urban areas, and the protection of natural and cultural heritage. Culture tourism is a continually evolving subsector which continues to be transformed by changing lifestyle, burgeoning forms of culture, creativity, traditional and digital innovations. If Trinidad and Tobago properly monetize these assets of culture through proper marketing and promotion, Trinidad and Tobago can benefit tremendously. We have one of the best Diwali celebration and village in the world. Trinidad and Tobago have the best Ramlila celebration, production of music, dance, and creativity. Best Pagwa celebration and chowtal singing in the world. Proper investment with this, clearly this vision and mission, culture can be one of the best solutions for this economical crisis that we are going through. And Trinidad and Tobago have a lot to benefit from Ramlila and some of our cultural events that we host. But today, culture had failed in most of our communities. We have 35 Ramlila groups, and out of 35 Ramlila groups this year, this government so love us that is only 4 groups based on contribution by the communities can pull off this Ramlila this year. They have neglected our organization for years, and it's about time this come to change. We really, really need a change. Generating and retaining jobs, which can be the heart of economic development if they invest in these simple things that we are asking for. Enabling small, medium enterprises, creative industry, designing, costume industry, attracting foreign investors via performance and music. With proper marketing of our little traditions that we have, as Ramlila and chowtal singing, our Diwali is so phenomenal that we need some sort of investment. They're only talking and no action, none whatsoever. They're poorly treating us as we are nobody, as I mentioned. We need, just get a light to So, in closing, I do appreciate the effort of this committee and our honorable leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, for putting together this, and all our MPs and all our councillors, and I thank you for this opportunity. God bless.
Calling for an end to the discrimination in funding for culture and tourism in Trinidad and Tobago. Give Mr. Joku a round of applause. Now, I noticed that Mr. Joku had a full presentation, and because of the limited time, you may not have been able to say everything. The Secretariat of the Leader of Opposition's office, they are here. So I want to ask you to leave your written contribution with us so that we could more comprehensively integrate it into our contributions in Parliament. At this time, before we go to the next stakeholder, I want to ask another young councillor, a very vibrant young lady in the Chaguanas Borough Council, powerful woman. She is the councillor for the Enterprise South Londonville North District. This young lady won her seat by how many votes? 3 votes. She has been working assiduously on the ground, working with communities, and some of those communities were represented by the PNM before, and this is the first time they have real representation in a UNC councillor. Please welcome Councillor Whitney Hamlet Stevenson.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. All protocols observed. I am Councillor Whitney Stevenson Hamlet for the Electoral District of Enterprise South Londonville North. This evening I'm here to speak about some key social concerns within my electoral district. Approximately 5 years ago, the students of Londonville Presbyterian School, located at the Londonville Main Road, was moved to the Jerningham Community Center. Parents were told that the community center was a temporary basis. Solution. 5 years has passed. Nothing has been done to date for the students to be moved of that community center. Parents concerned for the reason that we are in a pandemic where social distances is necessary. At the community center, there are approximately 110 students presently attending. The space is very small. There is also no sick bay for students at that community center at this present time. This development is a financial burden for parents who have children attending this school due to the fact that they have to pay additional fees to overcome the distance to and from the school on a daily basis. Our flight has gone unheard by the ministry as no infrastructural works has been done. As another school term approached, these children were yet being placed within unfortunate circumstances, housed at the community center. Most of these families within my electoral district are single parent or single breadwinners or householders. The parents of these families are currently facing difficulties of purchasing books. I'm sure a lot of you all can relate here. Basic school supplies are even sent for their children to school. Due to circumstances and the situation facing these children, slip through this term are forgotten. Secondly, a number of persons within my electoral district apply for social assistance. However, facing such a long, tedious process, nothing has been done. A lot of them for food cards, disability grants, and we could go on and on. the length of time these burgesses have to wait for these types of assistance. Last but not least, I will now like to briefly touch on a situation which recently faced the U16 national girls basketball team, consisting of 12 team members who were supposed to travel to Nicaragua for a basketball game. Due to a lack of funding by the ministry, 4 bright, young, talented girls hailing from the enterprise area were unable to represent Trinidad and Tobago. Parents were asked to acquire sponsorship by creating a GoFundMe, donating to allow these young girls to represent the country. After 2 years of training and preparation, parents allowed the technical team members have sacrificed time, finance, and other things to prepare the girls for this opportunity by the ministry. Has not been any type of funding coming from this ministry to assist none of these young ladies. This is so shameful. These are a few issues facing in my electoral district, and I could go on and on. I just want to inform you that I represent Enterprise South Londonville North. I would have contested the seat and won by 3 votes, and I would have beat out the candidate who was there for 21 years by 3 votes, and I intend to stay and deliver for you with equity in my electoral district. Thank you.
So you see that local government is not just about road and box drain and garbage collection. Young Whitney has outlined the situations of the social ills that face the people of Enterprise South, Londonville North. And this is part of the representation of the United National Congress, because local government is the arm of government that is closest to people. Whatever your need, your counselor is always closer. At this time, I want to bring to the stage another stakeholder who is a very passionate person, a very hard-working man. He has been very outspoken of some of the ills that face those within his organization and his enterprise. He is the president of the Kali Bay Fishing Association, and you would have heard him over time and time again speaking about the criminal activities that the Kali Bay fishermen face, the challenges that they face, the situation with increasing costs and the risk attached to his members. So I want at this time for us to welcome very outspoken Mr. Imtiaz Khan, President of the Kali Bay Fishing Association.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Ms. Amin. MPs, councillors, leader of the opposition, I want to thank you for having me on your program, pre-budget discussion. You know, I speak on behalf of the Kali Bay Fishing Association, but also there are 84 associations in Trinidad and Tobago. There are roughly over 50,000 registered fisher folks in this country, all who have families. And I really want to say thank you for listening to the plight of the average man, the fisherman. You know, I'm here as a citizen who grew in this country. You know, under our Constitution, it says we have certain fundamental rights. And our fundamental right is life, liberty, security, all which is under threat. Enjoyment of your property that you work hard for, where you're supposed to enjoy for you and your family, all that is under threat right now. 7 years, $400 billion, we still have to come. I never thought in my life we had to discuss roads, I'm being honest. Again, things like water. I don't want to go there. I'm here to deal with fishing. So, you all know, in terms of the fishing industry, 2019, 2018, we started having things like piracy again. Something that I never thought I would have heard of again, because we had all these Coast Guard vessels that was purchased. That was an issue was never having. So, piracy. So, I would just want to list a few little things that I make a little note of. Things that we had before. Fishing facility with our caretaker. Fishermen will get gas rebate when they buy gas. They will have subsidy. We had gas at a subsidized price. We had VAT returns when you purchase engine, when you purchase vehicles, you'll get VAT returns. We had the fishing gears was, somewhat subsidized, affordable. And another thing, National Fisheries had an enforcement committee that they will visit landing sites throughout the country regularly. Now, we don't have these things no more. The Minister of Finance not releasing funds. When he called the Director of Fisheries, this is what's happening, no funds. So fishermen are at a disadvantage. They are not getting their just dues because fishermen, in fishing, they use the most gas. So the subsidy was very important for them in terms of taking care of the family. I raised security because just before I reach here, a fisherman from Caroni contacted one of my colleagues. He lost his boat, engine, nets. So he lost his only means of taking care of his family. It's like we become numb to what's happening in this country. The fishermen, they go out. Their task is not an easy one. They do ask. I'll be honest. Anybody here, before all these things start happen, you will ever hear any fisherman complaining? You ever hear any fisherman don't complain? Fisherman will go spend their money, go out to fish. If they didn't catch anything, they'll go back again tomorrow. They will ask nobody for anything. But as I said, security. If we start to take care of the security aspect, go out there with something to defend yourself, and something is happening. They'll say the first thing, we involve in drugs. That's what they'll say. But we taking care of, ensuring that we could take care of our families. So much things have been done since 2019. We have made a recommendation. We went to the Prime Minister's office. We would give recommendation to the Minister of National Security in terms of what we would like to get done. Recently I heard that they want to now start that. Last year, in terms of all that's happening, I work closely with Mr. Aboud, when my MP, MP Ratiram, we had a meeting with the Minister of National Security recently. He said we're getting this 2 nice, expensive vessels that will take care of the border situation, but we still have fishermen being thrown overboard. So, we talk about the trauma. You think about you leaving home, you have your wife, your children, you're going to make your honest living, and they don't know if you're going to come back. And top of when you go, they say every day is fishing, not every day is catching. You're not sure to bring back anything also, and you're not sure to come back alive. So the security issue is one, infrastructure. Infrastructure for us in Calibre, when we go to Calibre now, sometimes it don't have to have rain for it to get flood. Because since 2010, 2011, our rivers had not been clean, right? Well, I harassed my councillor, the chairman, but it's under the Ministry of Works, they don't have the equipment. So, the lighting at the facility, or jetty, fishermen, sometimes when they go out, because we're on the west coast, when the tide's low, you can't come in, sit outside there for hours, 3 hours, to get water to come in to offload what they catch. This is not fair. In our country, $400 billion in 7 years. And me, as a citizen, I take it real seriously when it comes to that, my fundamental right. And we are not supposed to be treated the way we are treated. The contempt, and I would say contempt. And you know, the Prime Minister like use big words like umbrage. I take umbrage on certain statements. Well, you know, I as a citizen, I take umbrage on the way we are treated. I've been honest. I don't like that. We ain't begging. We are entitled to what's the wealth in this country. So, you know, as I said, the security, look, recently, all of us facing it, the gas, the shutdown petrol, no consultation. So to make decision without consultation, and whatever happened to you, happened to you. The cost of fishing went up by 160% with that gas increase from then, and continue going up. I only hope when the price of oil go down, we enjoy the benefits also. Right? Because that's one thing we don't see. What goes up in this country stay up, nothing don't come down. Nothing don't come down. And we have so much issues because the industry have so much potential, because we now see in terms of COVID, food security is most important. You will have money and people will sell you what they have because they want it for themselves. We live in a small island that we have, the Gulf has over 1,000 species of fish. The Gulf is considered the nurseries or the fisheries. We see in terms of pollution, what's happened outside there in pollution. Everybody, as I say, everybody, from time to make a statement, they fix it. But what are we doing for the future of the fisher folks, the fishing industry, our children? How are we going to sustain this industry? So just before I go, I would like to use this small quote. If you stay silent and fail to rock the boat in this war between good and evil, your life might be easier, but your children won't. So right now, all that we are doing, all that we are standing for, is for our children to have a fair chance in this beautiful, blessed country. Thank you.
Fishing facilities neglected, subsidy for fishing equipment discontinued, national security visits to landing sites discontinued, poor lighting and overall neglect of the fishermen. And most of all, they are not safe. They could lose their lives. I want you to thank Mr. Imtiaz Khan, President of the Calibre Fishing Association, for that presentation. Allow me to acknowledge the General Secretary of the United National Congress, who is with us, Mr. Peter Kanhai, the PRO of the UNC, Mr. Dr. Kirk Meku. Please give them a round of applause. I received an excuse from Mr. Raymond Cozier, the chairman of the Mayaro Rio Claro Regional Corporation, who was on his way here, but because of severe flooding and an accident on the Tasca Road, had to turn back. And that tells you the state of our country, where so many people will also miss work, miss important appointments because of flooding and neglect of this government. Before I call the next speaker, there is a vehicle PBK 7898, a white Tida, PBK 7898. Please attend to your vehicle urgently. You are blocking someone who needs. And at this time, we have another young lady who is very passionate. In the 2018 floods, this young lady, everything in her house was literally floating. The fridge toppled over, the couch floating, her children, books, everything was soaked. She had more than waist-high water in her house. And you know what she did? She packed up her children, took them by relatives, and she put on her boots and went out there to assist her burgesses. And when we asked her about it, she said, well, I can't do anything until the water go down, so I might as well serve the people. Please welcome Councillor for Las Lomas San Rafael, Ms. Balmati Gosain.
Thank you, MP Amin, Honorable Political Leader, MPs, Mayor Faik, Chairman Henry Wong, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Let me firstly thank you for the opportunity to speak on this very critical and pertinent issue of agriculture, as we have a lot of farmers within our region, and we must eat. This is something that I hold very dear to me, as it should be to everyone else. It is a sector that has received little or no respect, attention, or support from this present government. We see that the issue of neglecting food production seems to be a Trinidad and Tobago thing. While in other countries, there are challenges. They are innovative in solving these problems, and they also give it priority and attention that it deserves. Countries across the globe are spending billions to increase their food production, and here in TNT, they're not even fixing a road to help a farmer. This, my brothers and sisters, is unacceptable, and we cannot allow this to continue. We cannot allow this disregard and disrespect to continue. If this government cannot see the importance of agriculture and cannot see the damage that they're doing to our economy, then they really need to go. A Kamala Persad-Bissessar-led government has shown in the past that agriculture is indeed a priority and place special emphasis on food production. It is clear to me and every other citizen that as a government, you don't care right now about the sufferings of the people. I hope to see in our budget presentation an increase in the allocation by the Minister of Finance to firstly boost local food production by providing the necessary infrastructure for our farmers, roads, bridges, cleaning of rivers to prevent flooding, and irrigation systems. Support farmers by introducing stiffer penalties for predial larceny and expanding the unit by increasing manpower and providing adequate vehicles. You know, every time you call, they never have a vehicle. Equip all departments and agencies in the Ministry of Agriculture so that the farmers can have the necessary technical support and lab services to help them with the diagnosis of pests and diseases and other issues that they may encounter on the farms. Upgrade the incentive program and have timely reimbursement for farmers, subsidies, and so on. Introduce and promote the use of greenhouse farming and embrace other forms of technology as it relates to agriculture. Seriously focus on trade and commerce and secure foreign markets for our produce like hot peppers and cocoa. Utilize this as an opportunity to earn foreign exchange and use it as one of our major economic drivers. Use agriculture as a way out of unemployment. Expand the manufacturing and processing of agro-based products and look for value-added products. My brothers and sisters, as I see it, we must now adopt a serious approach to agriculture. I call on the government to give this sector the respect that it so rightfully deserves. It is a priority. We must eat. Increase the allocation this year so that as we move forward, we can look into the future and see agriculture as an alternative to oil and gas and our way of saving a failing and dormant economy. I thank you.
Well said, Balmati. At this time, I want to bring to the podium another stakeholder. This lady has been outspoken in the past. She's the former president of the National Parent Teachers Association. She continues to be a voice for those in her field. She continues to be a voice concerning the education system. And I want to ask you to welcome Mrs. Rafina Ali Budu Singh to the podium at this time to share some of her views.
Okay. A pleasant good night to the political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, MPs, Mayor Feed, councillors, aldermen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls in our midst. I am very happy that I have this opportunity to give a presentation for the upcoming budget as it relates to the children of Sweet T&T. I was asked to focus on parents and children. You know, if you look at a quality nation, it always comes to how you treat your children. And how you treat your children, first and foremost, is the responsibility of parents, mothers and fathers. And today, we see a lot of fathers losing their jobs, which bring hardship on the parents to cater for their children's needs. Education is the way out. Education is the doorway out of poverty. Also, education makes our children whole human beings. They are well balanced when they are given a good education. And the family, with the financial hardship, we see that the family cannot provide for the children, especially as we see now, it is just days away from the reopening of school. I was alarmed when my daughter went to shop for my 2 grandchildren for school, and still she didn't complete her shopping as the requirements on the school list. My grandson, who is 13, and my granddaughter, who is 8. And she has already spent $5,000 and still has to spend to meet their needs for school. And I wonder how many parents who are unemployed, parents whose salary may have been cut, or salary is not enough, and they have 2, 3, 4 children to send to school and to buy things for. And I can tell you that I know of many parents who will not be sending their children to school come September because they just can't afford to send their children. Another experience I had was to get my granddaughter in a primary school. And we went to 5 schools in the vicinity of my home, and we couldn't get a place for her. You know why? The principal said, too many repeaters in the class. Why do we have so many repeaters? Too many repeaters in the class that deny other children from getting in the school. Do you know I had to go to Claxton Bay? I live Whiteland. My granddaughter lives Whiteland with me, and we had to go to Claxton Bay for her to get a place in a school. So it's more travel for her. And why should parents have to do that? Yet still, we see so many schools not opened by the PNM government. Why? Because they are UNC built. There are so many schools almost completed, and this government refused to open the schools. And yet still, we have so many children out of school. I can tell you that there are many 5-year-olds cannot get a place in a primary school because there are no places. And because of COVID and social distancing, the school places now are very limited. So this is just one of the hardships that parents face. But if we look at other things in the school that were initiated for learning improvement, for our children to do better in schools, and they have been abolished. Why they were abolished? They were abolished because it was initiated by a UNC government. I can tell you in 2015, when the government changed, as soon as school opened, the next week, we had at that time the CAC, Continuous Assessment Component, where our children went into the SCA room with 40% of their marks. It was eradicated from the school. It was finished. Millions of dollars spent in resources and training of teachers, and it was just abolished. So our children were disadvantaged. Also, and this becomes a burden on parents when funds are withheld from schools. At the moment, schools get $90 per child. That is how our schools are funded. And this is why you see principals always go to parents for something. And sometimes parents, oh gosh, you always have to send money to the school. So you have hardship home on just providing for your family. And they say education is free. Education is a basic right of the child. And education is free, but you always have to send money to the school. Because $90 per child cannot do minor repairs to your school, cannot buy office supplies, cannot buy cleaning material. It just isn't enough. So it becomes a burden on the parents. So we look at school allocation for maintenance and supplies for the school. Also, local school boards. These are things that this government has abolished from the school. And what was the role of the local school boards? The local school boards were made up of stakeholders who worked together with the principal to achieve its goals, which redounded to our children. So that went out also, local school boards. What also went out, I remember in the Pandey UNC government, we had something called school improvement plans. And school improvement plans were funded by the Pandey government by $90,000. And then a second $60,000 for school improvement. That was abolished when PNM came in government. Okay, so I'm getting the signal too. Right? Also, continuous assessment program, and all these were implemented to ensure that our children did well. What do we find now? SEA exam. Only 2.7% of the students made more than 90%. 50% of the students failed the exam. Okay? So what does this tell us about the condition of our education system? So we do have to ask the government in the budget, yes, we have the allocations. Please put things there that will improve our children for future lives, because the children are our future. And something I didn't talk about, the school feeding program. The school feeding program, for more than 15 years now, the government is paying $6 for a breakfast and $9 for lunch. I am told that now they have taken out fruit and water from the school lunch and the school breakfast. What does that tell you? Is the government telling our children that fruit and water not so healthy? They're telling our children that. Okay? So we have to make a plug-in for some improvement to take place in the school feeding program, because our parents, some of them, are finding it very difficult to put food on the table for their children. And I can tell you that some children do not go to school because they cannot have a breakfast before they go to school. And it's only 30% of the students in school, in some schools or most schools, receive a breakfast and lunch. So you see, there are many things that we have to make representation for our children, the future of our nation, our biggest investment in our lives, our children. Thank you.
There are so many things going wrong in our education system today. I want to thank Mrs. Ali Buru Singh for her contribution. Very comprehensive. And I want to ask her, because of the wide-ranging issues, I know that you know these things in your heart and the top of your head. I saw that you had a notepad, and it seems that there may be some more issues you didn't cover today. I want to invite you to submit a written, make a written submission as well. Just today, one of the news sites posted that the Ministry of Education today received almost 5,000 laptops, which will be allocated to students who will be eligible via the means test. Teachers will also benefit from the laptops. Almost 5,000, not quite 5,000. And we were told in the last budget that over 60,000 children in this country need laptops. That is the level of neglect that this PNM has been forcing on our education system. At this time, there's a gentleman I want to bring to the stage now. He's a counselor, a young man. He's a counselor, but he was up to very recently the president of the Couva Chamber of Commerce. He won a seat called California Point Lisas that the PNM, that was the only seat the PNM used to win in Couva, Tabaki, Talparo region for many years. But Rajbal has been a man of the people. He has been working with people even before he was elected. And so he won that seat in the local government elections, and he continues to represent. So at this time, I want us to welcome Councillor Ramchan Rajbal Maharaj, Councillor for California Point Lisas. Young and vibrant. This gentleman was a former chairman of the Couva Tabaki Talparo, the first ever. You're so old? So that was recently. I was very young. That was recently in 1992. So the first time that Couva Tabaki Talparo became a region by that Act 21 of 1990, in 1992, this gentleman was the first ever chairman. So please come to the podium. So you're making 30 years serving, eh? Longer than some of we live in.
Thank you, MP. With injury time taken away from me, I will all protocol observe. Ladies and gentlemen, just one thing on local government I want members of the public to understand is that councillors have been bombarded with requests coming from residential areas, AGC sites, LSA sites, sugar welfare developments, Rupsing Road development, and it's not unique to Couva. I think in every corporation you have situations like this, where the burgesses, the residents come at the councillors, bombarded them to fix their road, pave the road, where it is not the purview of the regional corporation to do that. I just wanted to make it publicly so that our burgesses will understand we can do local health authority work in there, but we cannot spend money on those sites, right? Housing development have allocation for that. All the other developers supposed to do their infrastructure work before handing over to the corporation. LSA at one time spoke to the chairman of the council, the sugar welfare in Dover Village, and we have a number of people from Dover Village here. They wanted to hand it over, but we say if you're not increasing the allocation in the corporation, we would not accept it at this point in time. And I'm sure in many areas you are facing the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to talk on the Couva Police's Chamber for a bit. I have 2 minutes, so that 1 minute gone. The Couva Point Legislators Chamber, when I was at the helm there with my board, we had a number of issues and meetings with the Minister of Finance on development and what they can do for Couva and the business community. Let me tell you something, all that was just talk, nothing more than talk. We have seen during the COVID time, many of the informal and formal sectors closed down. We have created a help desk at the corporation, trying to give the people to make their business survivability, but no encouragement from the government of the day. They keep on talking about ease of doing business, ease of doing business. But I'll tell you something, the only time we could see the ease of doing business with this, once this PNM government come out of power, we'll see ease of doing business in Trinidad and Tobago. So ladies and gentlemen, friends, keep strong, keep strong. The sun will rise again. So I use up my 2 minutes. Thank you very much. God bless.
Give Mr. Ramchan Rajbala another round of applause. So I move from one young dynamic man to another. The person who is coming to the podium has served Trinidad and Tobago in law enforcement for many years. He retired recently. He retired as a senior superintendent. And now in his retirement, he is a farmer. So at this time, I want you to welcome a man who many of you know, Mr. Kenny McIntyre.
Thank you. Yes. Right, that's it. MPs, Chairman, Councillors, Aldermen, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. I feel honored to be here this evening, really because of the fact that I'm in the presence of a lot of people who wish to see Trinidad and Tobago restore the way that it should be and the way that we know it to be. The last time we experienced that was about 7 years ago. We experienced the last of that. I'm here as a citizen to talk about my little area. I live at Talparo. I'm a farmer. And it's difficult, because I thought it would have been easy, looking at it from a scientific standpoint, employing people and so on. But for the past 7 years, it has been difficult. But basically, I'm here to talk about the road. We have a lot of councillors and other persons touch on different subjects in terms of food, shelter, security, joblessness, and all of this. But the thing that is affecting every person that lives in Talparo and passes through Talparo is that road, that deplorable road, both primary and secondary roads. Imagine we had a bus transportation taking you to Mondo Nuevo and also to Tamana. That has been terminated because of the dilapidated road conditions in 2016. We have a lot of farmers, a lot of estates in that particular area. Half of it has become abandoned because of the fact that they can't get access to their places. Broken down bridges, deplorable road conditions. The regional corporation, they try their best. A gang used to be somewhere around 12, 13 persons, and over time, it has boiled down to 3, stretching them to the limit. Over a period of time, I've been harassing the councillor for that area. Mr. Rampasad, look at him there. I even went to Mr. Awang. And I've saw for myself the yard empty, no material, both in Couva and in Talparo. I realized how serious this thing is. But Mr. Rampasad is a very innovative fellow. You know. because I've been harassing him all the time to try to get the roads and at least passable. I don't know if he begged, borrow, or steal, but he got some material from the quarry. He borrowed, nevertheless. He begged and borrowed, right? And it filled some of the holes, a quite substantial amount, at least make it passable, all right? The area in which I live, I got together with some of the residents to purchase some oil sand to put on top of it, all right? We sit down and we discussed it, at least until such time as the UNC returns to power in the next occasion. You know, and things are moving along the best that we possibly can. But the most disrespectful part about this whole thing is this. I went to La Hawketta to talk to the parliamentary representative, Foster Cummins, and tell him about the situation in Talparo and other surrounding areas. I was told that he's not seen anyone because of COVID restrictions. They took the information. They said they have some road repair program. I came 2 months, I went 2 months after. Same khaki pants. 2 months again after. I said, well, look, they are taking us for fools. You don't even at least see any one of the residents, and it was not alone, there's quite a few people. At least you could have heard our cry, even yourself, Mr. Mamaga yourself. Nothing. You are the parliamentary representative. You bolt out Ms. Jerlyn John, and you are the parliamentary representative for this area, and you're not seeing anyone? No, this is highly disrespectful. Highly disrespectful. I take umbrage to this. You understand? But again, I must thank Mr. Awong, Mr. Rampasad for the effort that they have been making. Almost like miracles. You see? Hats off to him. And all the other councillors and MPs who are actually trying to do the same. You see? But it is important we can get here and talk and talk and talk and talk, but something decisive must take place. We have to develop some sort of strategy to deal with this insensitive government. The lady who came up here spoke about the children issue with regard to school. I felt it because, I mean, I had a similar situation where I saw a lady sitting by the bank. She seemed well presented, but in between some papers, I saw what appeared to be a book list. And I asked her, Miss, you could spare some change? Then she went on to tell me about the children now start to go to school, the parents not working and all of that, and you're trying to see when the father got laid off. And I could see the despair in this lady. I had $100 on me at the time, and I gave her 60. Because I put myself in her place, and to know what Trinidad and Tobago was, and what it is, it pissed me off. It pissed me off. So while we may get here and talk a lot, put forward ideas and all of that, it is important, but we must strategize, and soon, in order to get this situation corrected, within the legal framework that is. All right? We have to be strong. We have to try to get more people on board, put them in the spotlight, let them understand what time it is, and we are the ones with the power to deal with this. No. We have been submissive and quiet for quite some time, and I'm very fearful that it may reach a boiling point in which a situation that will erupt, that it will have a lot of casualties. So in this type of forum is something in which we need to put things together, weigh out all the strategies that we could look at, and implement it and have a backup. Right? As our leader always said, listen, if one hand ain't working, use the next hand. Use the next hand. So ladies and gentlemen, I really thank you, because this is a forum in which I feel comfortable with, because you all are people who want to get Trinidad and Tobago back to what it is. I thank you.
Mr. McIntyre, you spoke from your heart. And every time I hear about rural neglect that causes bus service, PTSC to stop its service, that causes taxis and maxis to not go into certain areas, I am reminded that many women and girls in Trinidad and Tobago who rely on PH taxis are kidnapped, raped, and murdered in this country. Rural neglect and safe public transportation is a part of national security. I thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre is followed by a young lady who is the councillor for Claxton Bay, Pointe-a-Pierre at the Couva Corporation. Please welcome Ms. Nadia Khan Mohammed to say a few words.
Thank you, MP. In the essence of time, I want to say a pleasant good night to all present. Local government is on the front line of helping people manage their daily lives. We, the councillors, we connect the people to central government. Local government is at the heart of governance. I can tell you that every day, without fail, I get reports of vehicular damage due to potholes, landslips, about flood waters entering people's homes and damaging furniture and appliances. No water in the taps for weeks, people losing their jobs, the list goes on. The sentiment from the people on the ground is that nothing is working as it should in this country under this PNM administration. Let's just look at the recent plight of the legitimate scrap iron dealers. They have come to me expressing the unsettling level of uncertainty that this 6 months ban on the scrap iron trade imposed by this uncaring PNM government is causing them. It is resulting in hardships for many families. The scrap iron trade is a legitimate multi-billion-dollar global industry, and yes, like any other industry, there are challenges, but these challenges can be addressed through consultations and how best to regulate the industry. And by looking at international best practices, what this government hasn't done instead is disrupt the livelihoods of hundreds of families who are now only recovering from the economic effects of the COVID pandemic. Families who are only now getting back to some level of normalcy. These are legitimate businessmen and women who are working hard to feed their families and send their children back to school. These families are now out of income for 6 months. This would mean that families would have to struggle more than ever to keep their children in school, or in some cases may not even be able to send them back to school to have a fair education, to put food on their tables, clothes on their backs, and even have a place to call home. Let's be fair, not all families have their own house and land to call their own. They have to rent to have a place to stay. No income means that this government is likely forcing persons to turn to criminal activity to sustain their families. There were no meaningful consultations with the TNT Scrap Iron Dealers Association before this ban was implemented. Who is better at understanding the industry than this association? There is no clear policy direction from government as to what happens within or after the 6 months. Will the scrap iron dealers be regulated? If so, how? If acts of vandalism and theft are the issues, then let's address that. State entities such as TNTEC, WASA, and TSTT have their estate police. Don't they have an obligation to protect their own assets? What about the municipal police? They are responsible for protecting the assets of municipalities, but manpower is grossly strained at the regional corporations. Vehicle maintenance is an issue, and basic equipment for proper police functions cannot be acquired on time because there are insufficient monies. Investigations are lagging, patrols are very limited, and officers are mentally strained. There has been repeated promises from this government to improve the working environment and strengthen the manpower across the municipalities. Why is this not being done? Strengthening the municipal police is one critical way that the state can protect its asset from vandalism and theft. But what the government has deliberately chosen to do, in essence, is unduly punish legitimate registered businessmen with no feasible action plan for the future of the industry. Giving out hampers is not the solution. It may help in the immediate, but certainly not for 6 months. Government has an obligation to ensuring the human right to livelihood. It is a universal right. The right to livelihood is a part of the right to life. It is the human right of all women, men, youth, and children to a dignified and productive livelihood which enables them to live in peace, security, justice, and dignity. Local government is about improving the quality of lives of the citizens. We are calling on the government to meet the people halfway. Listen to their needs. The solution lies in the problem if only you listen to the people. Hope is not lost. Hope is in the UNC. Thank you and good night.
Well done in articulating the needs of the people of Claxton Bay, Pointe-a-Pierre, Councillor Nadia Khan Mohammed. I want to acknowledge another member of Parliament in the audience with us. She recently served as the mayor of Chaguanas, and that is the MP for Chaguanas East, Ms. Vandana Mohit. Let's give her a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the open forum where members of the audience will have the opportunity to make a contribution. Because we want to hear as many people as possible, we will ask you to be very much brief and to the point. We are not limiting you. We are asking you to be considerate. So at this time, you'll see Miss Angie Benjamin, the young lady who said the prayer. Angie will give the microphone, so we ask you to just raise your hand. Just raise your hand if you want to speak. And if you could just say your name and where you are from, and then start your contribution. Just make sure the microphone is on for her.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity here at this forum this evening. And let me say a special thanks to Mr. Baliram for relaying the invite for this afternoon. I endorse particularly what Mr. Awong, my chairman, had said. And as a burgess there, I am totally in support of him. But tonight I came to speak in particular about an issue in my area which is really heartrending, and that is the Presal Government Primary School. It is currently housed in the community center, so the community center does not have access to the particular area. But further, what is also really terrible is that this is since 2014. This school has been under reconstruction and it has not been completed. Other projects have come, gone, completed, operational, but that school is not being constructed at this time. And what to me is painful, I have heard my fellow councillor for Londonville North, and Enterprise South.
Yes.
And this is a social issue because the very same students who go to this school are topping the cricket 2018 national champions at the Atlantic LNG. But they would be serving if they have to go Brian Lara Stadium, which was finished in the time. They would be playing cricket in that same stadium. Where are they going to get them from? Ain't this the schools? It is terrible. And now we are entering 2022, nearly 10 years, and this school, nothing is being done. I want to ensure on behalf of the community of Presal, Vancouver, by extension, that the school is completed because it's a single primary school in that entire region of Presal. It is critical for the area. It is a social thing. And I want to express one more thing. Government seems to have a priority to finish a flagship gas station in Presal. They know about that, right? Because it's making a profit. But what about the people? I end my case. Thank you very much.
Before you end, can you say your name and the area you're from for the record?
Sorry.
Yes.
I am Kathy Ann Lindsay, and I am from Vancouver, right? I live on Fraser Road, and I have, through the years that I have come to live there, I understand clearly what my region goes through. So I am always in support with given what has taken place, the lack of resources and so on. I empathize with my region in particular because they have to work very hard to do what they do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker. I want to remind you that the Leader of Opposition's Secretariat is taking notes. So when you make your contribution, start by saying your name and where you are from. Yeah.
Good evening, good night. The place is very dark outside. My name is Pastor Moyne. I'm a pastor of Pentecostal pastor. I'm not here to preach here, don't be afraid. I want to say that I live in Brans Garden, in the Scotland area. And Mr. Rajbal, Mr. Gangaram Singh, Gopal, they are very, very good to us. Very, very helpful. They're always there. And before that, we had Mr. Lawrence Maraj, Ramesh Lawrence Maraj. When we went to live in 1984, squatting, I was a squatter. And Karen, we were breaking down our house, and they come and they help us, they give us wood. And I want to say, each and every one of us here, we had to take the bull by the horn. When I say take it by the horn, I mean get together in your community, as we did. We went to the National Commission for Self-Help. And they help us to put road, lights, we raise money in Bazaar, we go up and collect donation, and this is 30 years now. We have a lot of things. Government is good, but it's not what my country could do for me, what I can do for my country. You know, so, I mean, help for the government is good, but we can get together as a villagers. I'm from Pransgard, I'm the president of the village council. You understand? And I had very good workers, vice president, helpers. We will dig with shovel, we put road, we get material. The Canada Embassy help us $67,000. And we have record, I have the record of the village and the history, 35 years of history, when there were no houses. So we can do something. The government ought to help, but if they're not helping, as I say already, it's not what our country could do for us, but what we can do for our fellow men and our country. Right now, what I do right now, I'm giving out school book. Mr. Gangaram know that. Up to today, I feed the homeless. We in a squatting area there. There are a lot of crime. We have the police always there with us. So we're not living in a perfect world. There will be thorn, there will be thistle, there will be all type of different things, but we got to overcome. I marched in 1970 with Black Power. When William was there, I marched around the Red House at Lawrence Maraj. So I'm not nobody new to struggle. Okay? You know, somebody say like, here's a pack of green tea or a bag of green tea. Unless you don't put it in hot water, you're no good.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank
Pastor,
you so
for your
much.
contribution. So we have another hand up. State your name and, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good night. The first point I want to touch on is education. My name is Rivad Sinat, and I'm from Central. Education has been affecting the youths terribly. The highest allocation of funds in the fiscal 2022 budget went to education, which is $6.886 billion, which is $1 billion less than that of the previous year. You know how much things we could have done with $1 billion? I was fortunate enough to benefit off the GATE program when I was doing my bachelor's at the University of the West Indies. Well, I was not so beneficial at current date while I'm pursuing my MSc at the University of the West Indies. Now, let's talk about the 75% cut in scholarships. That's a major issue. For the first time in 12 years, new admissions at the UE St. Augustine have dipped below 5,000. That's 1,000 less admission from the previous year. Why is this? Is it because of the slash in scholarships by 75%? Yes, it is. Is it because of the lack of GATE funding? Yes, it is. Now, youths are being discouraged. Our book bag is supposed to be our passport into the future, but apparently the passport office closed for us. Before I leave, I want to leave you with something to think about, and that is the enrollment of students attending university decreases while the enrollment level of youths joining gangs increases. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Always good to hear from young people. Thank you for your contribution. We had another lady with her hand up.
Good night to one and all. My name is Angeline Balkisoon, and I'm from Fletcher's Road, Todd Road. My granddaughter lived in Barabo. She passed for Barabo West Secondary, which was at 7 years. I'm her grandmother, and she moved across in Todd Road to live by us. But she cannot get a transfer to attend to another school in Central, but her parents is trying very hard. So I would like someone to just help us, please. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Balkisoon, I want to ask you to give us some information before you leave. And this is part of the problem that Mrs. Ali Budu Singh spoke about in terms of students, because the number of places in the schools, the number of children repeating, there are limited spaces in the schools. So we will want to take some more information from Ms. Balkisoon before she leaves. We have another lady.
Good night, everyone. I am Maria Pierre. I am from the Tabaquite constituency, electoral district, Piparo, San Pedro, Tabaquite. Tonight, my plight is public school transportation from Tabaquite to Central and to San Fernando. Minister of Education promised in February of this year that by the 16th of February, we were getting school transportation, public school transportation. The entire term has completed, and we had a next term, yeah, right? And till now, nothing. The prices for children to travel in and out is very high, and on a daily basis, it's $50 a day, right? And some parents have more than one child going out, and private taxis traveling with other passengers, and then we had to look at the COVID health, and all of that is very risky, and I think we need to get something done. We had public transportation before, and I think it should be resumed, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pierre. Calling for school transport to return in the Tabaquite area.
Hello,
we have
good
another
night.
lady here. Go ahead.
My name is Linda Barrows, and I'm from Tabaquite. My thing, what I like to see taking place is the elderly in society is being left behind. The cost of medication is very high and is not available in the health centers, the hospitals, and the money, the pension they get can't even cover for the cost of medication, much less for food. And I've seen a trend now, there's a lot of elderly begging in the streets all over. And something needs to be put in place to help these people. Thank you.
Ms. Balrose, I just want to get your name properly.
Thank you.
Linda Balrose.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Hi, good night. My name is Katya Ramkisun from California. Mr. Rajwal is my counselor. He is a very nice counselor. He always helps. No matter your situation, he tried to do his best. One of our situation is that I live in a squatting area and roads is very deplorable. And this is the worst I ever saw these roads in Trinidad. Growing up, I never see roads been like in this. Too much of vehicles damaging with this. And we need the government to hear the people cry outside here and not to leave out the squatters and to hear, understand that we are people too. And we need the help also. And we have children too. Sometimes many children don't go to school because of the lack of fundings, lack of jobs, because when you're squatting in certain areas, they look down on you. You don't get jobs. And this is not good. I have my kids sometimes to come out to go to school is a muddy track. And they are finishing school next year. And I just try my best as a single mom with them. And things not like squatters is not really registered to this government at all. We are like nobody. So this is my contribution to the talk.
Ms. Ramkisun, what area was the name of the squatting area that you live? California, okay. We have another speaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rihanna Ramtahal, and I am from the electoral district of Enterprise South Londonville North. Tonight, I would just like to touch on an issue that OJT trainees have been facing lately due to late payments. When I started OJT first, payments used to be on time, which was the 15th of every month. But of lately, we have to wait to the end of the month, around the 24th, to be paid. I was just wondering if there's anything that we could do about this to rectify the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ramtahal. Now, as I mentioned before, all the issues you raise, it is being recorded so that we can address it, we can raise it in Parliament and in the public space. The opposition has an opposition press conference every Sunday and sometimes one during the week. We also have the Monday night virtual report where you can tune in live on Facebook and sometimes on Radio Jagrati and TV Jagrati, so you can see and hear your MPs speaking on your behalf. So please continue to bring your issues to the forefront. We have another young lady.
Good night. My name is Indra Jagisa. I am representing Edinburgh Village, Chaguanas. We are totally fed up with our flooding in our area, but we know that there are not much funding to the corporation to help clean our drain. But I hope that in the next budget reading, the minister allocate more funding to the corporation. I am also the Women Affairs Officer for Couva North, and under the privilege of my MP Ravi Ratiram, we are having a book drive on next week to help out the underprivileged children. Thanks.
And we commend people like Ms. Jagisa who pick up the slack because of the failure and neglect of this government to meet the needs of our school children.
And
We
the
have-
MP.
And with the support of MP Ravi Ratiram and the Women's Arm.
Good night, everyone. My name is Crystal Ramsunder, and I'm from the electoral district of Caratal Tortuga. You're hearing?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, well, I am Consulate General Secretary, and on a daily basis, we face a lot of people coming into the office and complaining. For example, I'd like to emphasize on what Councillor Nadia has said, the scrap iron. Well, Caratal Tortuga is in Claxton Bay, and we have a lot of people who depends on scrap iron, for example, for the income. So right now we have people coming into the office saying how they purchase their children books, buying food. Now it's just a few hampers we get. How much we can do for who knows? Caratal Tortuga is a very big area with just only so little funding, so little hampers. How many we could, as I say, distribute to these people. So many children have to go back out to school. So when you give a family of 12 or maybe 8, one small hamper, how long will that rally them?
Yeah.
Not even a month, for example. Well, the major things, crime, cable, you're sleeping, you're not comfortable, people on the roof, the street lighting. Councillor Jenna did many letters to the street lighting division concerning street lights in certain areas in the Caratal Tortuga district. Landslip, well, we always hearing her preaching about it. We are from what? Landslip City. For who knows? Yesterday a woman called and said her house might fall down. She's from somewhere in the area of Cotton Hill, but there's only so much councillor could do. There's a woman who comes to the office almost every other day. She have about 4 children. Her husband don't have a permanent job. He do odd jobs. She don't even know how to fill her children book list. There's Councillor Jenna, she had even bought some stationery and notebooks, but we have to distribute that accordingly. You understand? It's only so much, as I say, you could do. I can go on and on, maybe whole night, but as I say, they're complaining about the food prices going up. I don't know. Transportation, according to Miss Maria Pierre, what she had said before, prices going up for transportation, food prices, salaries.
Salaries not going up.
Going
and
up,
the food
exactly.
prices going up.
So how they're sending the children out come Monday morning, September, you know? So there's so many, as I say, I could go on, but time is
Thank you,
limited.
Ms. Ramsumer.
Thank you. Ramsundar.
Ramsundar.
Good night, everyone. My name is Kamla Pagu, and I am from the constituency of Karen East. But I want to bring to the attention of the high level of crime in Kelly Village. And I use that road almost every day. And I'm scared for my life and for others who also use that road. Bullets flying all over. What is our minister really doing? Is he sleeping on his job? I mean, we always see him sleeping in Parliament. So I'm asking in our next budget that he place some emphasis in what he call a hotspot in Kelly Village and make some sort of adjustments and put a police post there so it can safeguard those living within and around. I thank you.
Thank you.
very
Anyone
much,
else?
Ms. Paru. You know, Fitzgerald Hines is the only man I saw a video of actually fell asleep, not in Parliament, at a podium while speaking. That is to tell you the level of representation we have to deal with crime. I want to give the opportunity to 2 more persons before we close.
Do we have anybody else? I'm not seeing hands raising.
All right, so I want to thank all the persons who contributed. And at this time, I want to tell you that the person who spearheaded today's exercise and who is in charge of this series is the Research Officer of the United National Congress. He is the Member of Parliament for Barataria Sanwan, and I want to invite Mr. Saddam Hussein to make closing remarks at this time.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good. Thank you very much for the warm welcome, Madam Chairperson. I wouldn't be long, 2 minutes, just like my friend, Mr. Rajbal. My duty this evening is just to say thank you and express appreciation and congratulations to both the Chaguanas Borough Corporation and the Couva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation on what I believe is one of the best budget consultations. Today is the launch of our budget consultations. And as part of our party doing our duty to reach out to the citizenry, we want to hear from you. Because when we go into the parliament to listen to budget 2023, we don't want to be making up anything. We want to be your voice inside of the parliament. We want to express the views and the concerns of the ordinary man and woman who face the troubles based on the incompetence of this government. So I thank you all very much for those who make today's program a success. Thank you very much, MP Amin, all my colleagues from the House and the Senate who have joined us from local government. So you will join us on Saturday. We will have our second series of the consultation with the regional corporations of Princestown and Mayaro, which will be held at the Tableland High School. The start time for that will be at 4 p.m. on Saturday, so you could join us live on our social media platforms on Facebook, on Kamala Prasad Bisessa's Facebook, on YouTube, if you can't make it. But again, I express my appreciation for all of you all who came out here today despite the inclement weather. So before I leave, I just want to ask those who are present here from the Couva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation to please join me on the stage together with the Chaguanas Borough Corporation, my MP colleagues who are also here. Right. Thank you again, everyone. Please reach home safely. And hopefully one day we'll remove this wicked PNM government and retain a united National Congress government once more. And all of those who have contributed, can you just pass your notes on to Naseem, who is wearing black on my left here? She's on the staircase. Naseem, you can join us on the stage so that they can see who you are. All of those who have contributed, please pass on your notes to her, please. Oh, you want to get the background? Yeah.